Hi guys. Firstly, thank you Arbaaz for coming here.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure, actually.
So just wanted
Good.
to ask you, is
Yeah.
this your first time to Hyderabad?
No, no, no. I've been to Hyderabad many times. I come here for a lot of shoots,
Uh-huh.
and I love coming here. So we've shot at Ramoji Studio and a lot of locations out here. Done since the start of my career. I've done a lot of work here. I love the place. I love the people. I love the food. So it's wonderful.
What about biryani?
Oh yeah, of course. The biryani is so famous here. Generally, I pack it when I go back. Yeah, and there's a request always like get it even if you're not going to have it. You get it for us.
So you almost be wondering why Arbaaz Khan is here and how is he connected with gaming industry. So apparently Arbaaz Bhai has invested in a gaming company based out of Mumbai. So we would like to know more about why you have invested in the company, and also that's what we are going to portray and ask more about and your overview of this market. What do you
Right.
think about this gaming market? Why you invested and all. So to start with, everyone knows the magnanimous star you are, right? So who is Arbaaz Khan in daily life?
Well, I'm just like any other guy, just lives a regular work, go work, spend time with friends, family, read, you know, listen to music, play some sport. So typical regular guy. And of course, now I'm a bit interested in even gaming and being a professional and associated with the entertainment world. Gaming is also a very, very big form of entertainment, and it's got great potential. So, when you're looking at aspects of business and you're looking at the entertainment world and you're also wanting to expand and look at different avenues, this definitely becomes one of them because it's very similar in terms of entertainment, excitement, thrills, business, publicity, everything. It just kind of collaborates perfectly.
So you are a multifaceted personality, right? An actor, a director, a producer, right? So tell us about your journey from being an actor to an actor producer.
Well, since I was born in a film family, my father was one of the most foremost writers of the country, written some of the greatest works Indian cinema has ever seen. So, seen that atmosphere and saw that, this is something that I wanted to do very early in my life. But in what capacity I wanted to be a part of the film industry, that, I thought that maybe starting off as an actor because I was interested in it and I saw potential in it. And, I said, okay, fine, this is where I need to work at. And I started my career as an actor. But being in a film line, I don't think, people, any film personality would restrict himself to just one thing. If he's a writer, he wants to direct, he wants to maybe compose. So similarly with me, while I was acting, I was already thinking about wanting to maybe direct a movie, to write a script, to maybe produce in the future. So subsequently, as time passed, from becoming an actor, I produced my first film, Dabang, which was huge success, and that kind of propelled my career as a producer. Then subsequent after that, I kind of directed the part two, and that also met with a lot of success. Then came now the third one is coming this December 20th. December, do have a look, guys. So this has been the transition of me in the film industry. There's lots more to do. Like I said, there's it can be producing more films, maybe distributing. So all of that is there. Yeah.
That's a very good journey, Arbaaz Bhai. I mean, it's very inspirational as well. So what is closest to your heart? Is it acting, direction, or production?
Well, I think at different stages, everything was important. When I started my career, I think acting was something that I was extremely passionate about. That is what exactly gave me a foothold in the industry. That is what created that name or that base for me on which I could kind of jump from being an actor to producer. So acting is always going to be close to my heart and is always something that I want to do for the rest of my life. That's something that will never be like, okay, now that I've become a producer or I've gone behind the scene, so I'm not going to take acting seriously or I'm not passionate about it. No, that I'm always open for some really interesting film roles. But at the same time, I look for very good content, very good subjects, which I either can produce or maybe direct. I do enjoy the behind the scene kind of scenario as well because that gives you a lot of creative control. As an actor, sometimes I feel that you're restricted to only to play your character and there's not much connection with the other aspects of the film because there's a director who's overlooking everything. But as a producer, you tend to be a little more creative and you tend to have a little more control. So right from getting the writers on board to getting the cast on board to deciding the budget of the film, how the film is going to be shot, how you're going to market it, you tend to take a little more control. An actor does his job and probably leaves. So I now enjoy the fact that there's a lot more creative control coming as a producer and as a director. So that's something that I'm enjoying.
So you would have observed the advent of OTT platforms mushrooming these days, right?
Right.
So what's your view on that?
Well, it's the future. There's no question about that. You can, and you'll have all seen it. The kind of momentum it has gained in a very short period of time. You know, ever since the advent of OTT platforms in this country, I mean to say, people have now hooked on to television, on shows, and they're just like watching series, and they're watching so much of content which is there, and plus the content that is there is of a very different kind. You know, there's a lot more liberty in doing things. There's a lot more time to express. Like a movie could be an hour, maybe 2.5 hours. A television show could be maybe just for a few minutes. But on television, on OTT, you know, you can have a 8-part series, a 10-part series, maybe, you know, a season after season. That gives you a lot more expression and in your creativity. And so you're getting a lot more work coming in from writers, directors, creativity. There's scope for creativity, and there's a little more patience in an audience that is watching at home. I wouldn't say because they don't pay for it, they're paying for it in terms of subscription, but the fact is that when you go to a theater and you pay that big bucks, you know, there is the expectations a little more higher, and you want things to happen much more. But here there's a little more leeway to see some really interesting stuff.
Nice, nice. So let's talk about gaming now. Do you play games?
Yeah, I play games, but not the ones that you're talking about. I play some video games. I used to play as a child, first it started off when we had those Nintendo games and all that stuff. So we used to play those Donkey Kong and Super Mario and all those kind of games. But then in between, when the console games came, then the Call of Duty and the PUBG and all these kind of games are something that I've kind of enjoyed playing. My interest in gaming also came for the fact that I've got a 17-year-old boy, and from a very young age, I see that the kids, their form of entertainment today, fortunately or unfortunately, and a great evening with friends is to play games together, either online when they're at home or together. And gone are the days when we would meet as kids to say play in our compound in our building with all the friends and all that, and that would be our aspect, because none of these things existed. But for them today, a good evening out, it would be like, okay, fine, I've got friends coming over, we're going to play games together, or probably playing up late at night. So I think that's the way the world is going. That's the way the kids look at it, and that's the future. And you cannot. There's a tide. You cannot fight it. You got to understand it, and you got to make room for that. I just say that, tell my child that, okay, fine, gaming and all is great, but you have to study and remove time for it. But I learned a lot from the fact that they develop a lot of skills actually also from playing some very interesting games.
So true. It's so
Yeah.
true. So tell us about your journey into gaming as an investor. Why did you decide to invest in a
Yes.
gaming company?
So see, as a person who's now, like I said, turned producer, has gone into the business aspect of filmmaking. I do look for business opportunities, and I look for things that, of course, that which are also close to what field that I am doing, like entertainment and all of that. And so gaming is very similar to what films is. You need to have a very good concept, you need to have a good script, you need to create good characters, you need to create a good look and feel about it. And there are a lot of thrills and excitement, and there's interaction that is there. So there's a lot of that. And the other aspect is that it is an extremely growing business, and it's a scenario, and the prospects are like huge. So if one could understand it, get a good team of people, get involved in a good setup and a good game, there's like tremendous potential in like going out and reaching to a large number of people. And honestly, like I said, it also gives you an opportunity to look for financially, it can be a very beneficial scenario.
Tell us more about the investment into this company, Rogue Heist Corp. Right. So tell us more about that game.
Well, so Rogue Heist Corp is the company that is created this game, Rogue Heist, and the person whose team it is a very very close friend of mine, and we always looked at some interesting opportunities to do some kind of business together over the years. I've known the gentleman for almost 10, 15 years, So we dabbled in a few opportunities of how we could collaborate as two individuals who've been friends to do some kind of business together. And he struck upon an opportunity where he could see the potential probably earlier than me, in the fact that the gaming is an industry that's a highly growing industry, and met up with some very very technical people who have got great understanding of how this game should go about, and created something, and came to me and said, this is what we have in mind, but obviously we're looking for some people to kind of back it and take it further, and and gave me a whole, like, a blueprint of how things will look in the future, and what kind of work that they want to put into it, and efforts that had already gone into it. And I saw that, and it seemed very very promising. Like anything, when you take a chance, there is always a risk involved. But when you feel that you're putting your money or your time into something that just gives you a good feel, that on a gut level, you want to go all out in that. And that's exactly where I came in, and I said, you know what, um, I'm not going to think about what it cannot happen, because like movies, there's a hit and a miss. Things, you could be working on a great concept with great stars, and make a huge film, magnum opus, and tomorrow it may not really do well. At the same time, something that you do passionate can do extremely well. So I do understand that there is nothing like a foolproof scenario. There's nothing like something that you do is going to 100% click. But at the same time, that when you see something, and the efforts that's gone into it, and the detailing and the technical aspects that have gone into it, the the possibilities and the probabilities of those things succeeding become very high. So, and I said, I'll jump into it. And that's what I did. And I don't regret it.
So, what is the genre of the game? Is it like a shooter,
Yeah, so it's like a shooter game, and
multiplayer?
multiplayer interactive game called Rogue Heist. And if you would like, we have a promo of it whenever you're ready to watch it.
Do we have a teaser of it? Whoa. Well, that was amazing.
So, what do you think of it, guys? Did it seem interesting? Huh? Awesome. Thank you. But they're still working at it. It'll just improve and get better. Like, people just keep improving things and fixing things, doing things better. So we're on to make it into as good a game as possible.
Well, well, all the best, Arbaz, right?
Thank you. Thank you.
So I always compare movies with gaming, as both are forms of entertainment.
Right.
So how similar or different do you think is movie production and game production?
I guess they're pretty similar, like you said. Like with movies, how do we start a movie? We get a concept, we get an idea, we start developing it, we start getting people on board to like start writing it, conceptualizing it. Then you start getting actors on board, and then subsequently you kind of figure out where you're going to shoot it, what will be the budget, and then how you kind of bring it in front of the audience and market and all that. It's pretty much similar with a game. You start with an idea of what kind of genre or kind of style of gaming you want to do. Then you create the scenario, you create the characters, you create the costumes, you create all the paraphernalia around it. And then when your game is ready, you kind of try it, and uh, you introduce it to the people and market it. The only difference sometimes in a scenario like this is movies, you don't get probably a shot at trying to, like you release it directly. Here in a gaming thing, you can probably have a soft launch, then you
Yeah,
can get a
yeah.
kind of a feedback as to what it is, fix the technical scenarios that are there, improve it, and then kind of reintroduce it to the market and take it to to another level. And then that process is constantly there. Once a movie is done, it just goes into the archives. It's done. You cannot touch it, you cannot improve it, you cannot get too much out of it. But a game, once introduced, has life, and it's living in the sense that it's not something that you just do it once and leave it. It needs to be updated, upgraded, constantly tweaked around, constantly changes made. Things sometimes come up with the issues, bugs. You got to like fix all of those things. So it's a constant effort, which is a very exciting thing.
It shows that you spend a lot of time with your team.
Yeah, I like I said, my technical knowledge is not so much. I'm just like a gaming enthusiast, and I'm interested in that. There are a lot of the back end thing that happens that is taken care by the people who conceptualize and work at it, and they are very, very talented and hardworking people. Or at this point in time, we've got about 30, 40 people who are pretty much starting off, and obviously the team gets larger. We're looking at maybe having over 100 people on board very soon, once we know how much to pump into the game and how to bring it forward.
Nice. So, what is your overview on Bollywood marketing? So, for example, in gaming, marketing costs a substantial amount, right? Sometimes there are mini AAA studios, they end up spending budgets which is more than the development cost in marketing, right? So, how do you think Bollywood marketing plays along in the launch of a mobile game? Like,
Yeah, see, even if I was not associated with the game and somebody in India was to introduce a game, I would 100% think they would look at Bollywood as an avenue to kind of go and promote it. I mean, I say they would probably reach out to some of the most bankable stars or people who are into that scenario, and get them to market that, because each of those stars have got 20 million followers, 40 million followers, and their awareness, their reach is very high. In our country, I mean to say, there are three professions which are like right there in terms of where public interest is the maximum. It's either politics, it's cricket, or it's Bollywood, realistically, or the entertainment business, if I was to put it in a broader perspective. So, me being from already from the industry and being associated with the game, there is bound to be the fact that I'm going to use my Bollywood uh, scenario into marketing skills or approach or whatever it is, your personalities into getting as much prominence for this game, because like you said, every game needs to be out there and have like get awareness and get a marketing budget. Now, fortunately for me, I have very good equations with a lot of my colleagues, and once they know that I'm part of this game, I think there'll be a lot of voluntary kind of support that will come to me from the fact that when I need to push the game, or when I need to introduce the game, or when I tell them to write, tweet, Instagram. I think most of these stars, they charge money generally. If you know that
true.
some of the actors, for any kind of marketing or kind of pushing of product, whether it's on Instagram or Twitter, because they know they've got so much to reach, just for one tweet or one post, they get a lot of money. So I guess I'll probably not be may be able to use some of my contacts and my equations with them to push it further, and that just becomes an added publicity cost that could have been avoided. Are you understanding? Yeah.
True, true. So yeah, that's completely true. I mean, we have had examples in this market as well. Like there are many developers, a few developers which they associated with Bollywood movies, and Bollywood stars release the game, and their cost per install uh, were really normal. So certainly, I believe that this would work out really well for you. So, what is your overview on esports? I mean, are you aware of esports scene in this
Yeah, I
country?
am. I know that it's pretty mainstream, and is extremely popular in India, and now it's gaining a lot of momentum. And looking at how it is going, there is a great possibility that you could have leagues, you know, and people play them like how the IPL games happen. So that is something that I feel that might come up.
talking about leagues, right? I think this game is also esports centric. So, do you also have certain plan maybe in the pipeline later on to to get this game out there?
Yeah,
And
so once the game is introduced to the people and we see how the kind of popularity it gains, we are very confident that it will hopefully happen. And then once we have steps, we have future plans.
that brings us certainly to our last question. What do you think are the challenges that a gaming company in India faces per se?
Considering that gaming is very new in this country, so getting a lot of people to understand it and introduce it to them is one big challenge, because it is not something that they have been fed on for a very long period of time. PUBG was probably the introduction to gaming in India in a very big way, which brought in the awareness that, oh, there is a market for this kind of stuff. People in India maybe were not so aware of it. That also introduced the fact that many people got engaged and interested in it. So that could be a challenge, that how slowly you start building up and growing the market. And I we just hope that there is enough of like help or encouragement and support that comes from various associations and the government. And apparently the Telangana government is I just had a meeting and with Mr. Ranjan, and he was there was a lot of, particularly in Hyderabad, it's such a big kind of place for all the gaming industry and tech industry, and they are doing so well. There are a lot of kids from here who are into programming and doing so much of technical work. So that support, once it's there, considering it's a growing industry, it'll really help.
So, talking about talent, do you think is there any scarcity of talent, or is it just funding that we lack?
I'm certain that there is no scarcity of talent. I think there's amazing talent in India, and from whatever I know. And if I just don't look at the gaming and I just look at it in my technical field, whether it is in special effects or whether it's in any kind of other aspects of filmmaking, and I know that so many of those people, kids, get absorbed internationally also. So I'm 100% sure that there is no dearth of talent in this country. Yes, there must be a scenario where to get things like moving in a very big scale, there's got to be a lot more incentives, and there's got to be a lot more encouragement and funding that comes into this field, so that it kind of makes more people want to do this. Because if once this field starts getting richer, the money to the technical aspects become bigger, which will make them more encouraged towards wanting to do better work and stay in the field.
So, talking about other games that you play, right? Is there any current favorite that you have, or do you like just play this game on your phone? Is it like ready to launch?
I guess the technical team will tell you that exactly here.
So, I think that's all, Arbaz bhai.
Thank you so
Thank you
much, Harsh.
guys, thank
Thank
you
you
for
so very much
patiently
for
listening to
giving
me. अगर कुछ बकवास किया तो माफ कर देना.
it. Thank you so much, guys.